All right, so pranayama, the breath work of yoga, prana meaning our life force energy, and pranayama meaning to kind of harvest that life force energy. And remember that prana can be found through multiple sources. It's not just through our breath, but our breath is the primary source of cultivating prana. It's also in the water we drink and in the food we eat and the sunshine we receive through our skin and our eyes and the hugs that we share with the people that we love and the laughter that we share with people that we love. All these things that feed us are part of our pranic body, our pranic influences. So, but breath is our primary one, obviously. We wouldn't live very long without our breath. And I've had this discussion with Alana before. So this will be interesting, I'm sure, to you, that we've talked about the breath. A lot of times when you're looking at how to regulate the breathing, like where to first feel the inhale, first feel the exhale. There's been a lot of teaching around, like, imagine yourself filling a glass of water from the bottom to the top and then emptying it from the top to the bottom. But that's actually quite inaccurate of what actually happens. That's just a visualization to try to get you to move your body in a certain way. So this is the fact of breathing. Your air moves from a place of high pressure to a place of low pressure. And that's both for the inhale and the exhale. So the only reason why we take air into our lungs is because we create a pressure difference between the outside and the inside of our lungs. Our inside of our lungs become less pressure, and so the air flows in. And then when our air is full in our lungs, suddenly the outside pressure is lower than the inside pressure, and we breathe out. So that's the simple, basic mechanics of breathing. So how do we want to, so we want to create this pressure gradient difference in order to breathe well. And our lungs don't have muscle tissue. There's contractile, there is a recoil that happens in our lung tissues. But it's not contractile like muscles. We can't flex our lungs and make them squeeze and release. Like, that's not how we create the pressure gradient difference. We create it because our lungs, like, we have this the sac, the pleural sac around our lungs. Remember, we're pretty tightly packed inside our bodies. You look at anatomy books or pictures, and it shows all this spaciousness, like these lungs are just floating. No part of us is just floating in space. Like, it's amazing how much we have jammed inside of our skin. Like, it's kind of shocking, right? So there's not a lot of room there. And the lungs are attached to the ribs through fascia, through this pleural cavity. We are attached. And so when we use the muscles of our rib cage, and the muscles, all of our muscles that attach to our breathing apparatus, we pull our ribs apart, we widen our rib cage. And that, in conjunction with our diaphragm dropping down, okay, though, because the diaphragm is also, attached to the ribs and attached to the lung tissue. When those two things happen, it's like prying apart, it's like opening the car doors, opening the windows of your car. Like, suddenly you have all this space that was not there before. And that's what creates this movement of the air naturally into our bodies. We feel like we're pulling air in and pushing air out, but really all we're doing is just changing the shape of our structure so that air does its thing. Air will always do its thing. It's never something that we can, we don't have, it's not like a compression hose where we have a force or a power to move actual breath. Yes, like billows, Maggie, exactly. We create that pressure gradient difference. So the way we naturally breathe is just by, opening and closing all those tissues. And we can control the breath in pranayama to elicit different effects. And this doesn't mean that there's a right or a wrong way to breathe. There's different techniques in pranayama for different purposes. That are very different from just our natural rhythmic breathing pattern. So if you want to control the breath for different reasons, for instance, on the inhale, if you focus on breathing in your chest first and then your belly, So let's talk about the belly for a minute. The only reason why your belly moves when you're breathing is because your diaphragm is moving. Okay, so your diaphragm is contracting and dropping down and out. And the pressure of this on our internal organs just displaces our organs and moves everything out. So our belly protrudes out. And this is good and natural and healthy. And if we clench too much in our core and don't allow this movement, we restrict our diaphragm. So very important to let the belly move when we breathe. But if you focus on expanding chest first and then belly, we're moving with the rib cage expansion and then the diaphragmatic expansion. This does a few things. First of all, it will lengthen your spine and it'll improve your posture. It'll also help you gradually slow down your inhale so that you, you deepen your breath. And that also has a very uplifting effect in the body. To breathe chest first is very uplifting, and it creates that postural effect of lifting the heart. But if we wanted to focus our breath differently, where we inhale belly first, like diaphragmatic breathing, where we expand our belly, we let our diaphragm move first and then our chest. This is also a great way to breathe. And its emphasis is on, movement of the diaphragm. So if it's very good to overcome reverse breathing patterns. So if you're somebody who breathes like this, if you have that reverse pattern where your diaphragm goes up when you inhale instead of down when you inhale, inhaling belly first is a great way to help you overcome that reverse pattern breathing. And it just emphasizes the movement of the diaphragm, which is good if you tend to shallow breathe all the time and you're really trying to widen your expansiveness or your contractility of your diaphragm and get it to stretch and move more. Emphasizing belly first is good for that. And then the other thing that's really good for is grounding. So if you need a grounding practice, belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing will stimulate the nervous system in a profound way to help you relax. So it's a bit more relaxing of a breath than an energizing of a breath, where, when we increase our posture and lift our heart and chest first, that's a little bit more energizing. So then for the exhale, we can either have an active or a passive exhale. So passive is just what we do all day long when we're not really thinking about it. It's just, our diaphragm contracts back in and up, and that exhale of the diaphragm moving in and up and the rib cage muscles bringing the ribs back together will cause that pressure gradient. So the breath just goes out. We don't have to push the breath out. But if we want an active exhale, this is good to do it's kind of like using your abdominal muscles to compress your abdomen and use your abdominal muscles to help force the diaphragm. This can stabilize you, keep a lot of stability in your lower back. It's good. Like that's absolutely the kind of exhale you want to do if you're about to lift something heavy or, just have some spinal stability. So that's just like a progressive abdominal contraction. It could be pelvic floor too, where you're drawing everything in and up so that your exhale is a little bit more forceful with support. So I know that's a lot of information, but that's like just kind of some basics about this. That doesn't even include pranayamic techniques that hold or, like kumbakas or things that manipulate the breath in specific ways. This is just kind of understanding the dynamics of inhaling and exhaling. And then all of you know that our inhale stimulates the sympathetic nervous system and our exhale stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. So stretching out the exhales will calm you down when you're feeling anxious and you need your nervous system to have a little bit of a warm blanket on it. And then if you need a little giddy up, and focusing on those inhales will encourage that sympathetic drive of get up and go. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about, and this is a bigger conversation that we'll do another day, but I just wanted to touch on it, which is the vayus. So I know you've all heard me talk about the vayus of yoga before, and these are kind of like the energetic movement patterns where we can have energy that moves down and we can have energy that moves up, and that's a conversation that I will do another day to like really kind of dive into the vayus. But simply speaking, the two main values that we use that are activated all the time when we're breathing are the apana vayu and the prana vayu. So prana is just this taking in, right? So we're taking in air, we're taking in energy, and usually because our air enters from the top of our body, we're taking it in and down. Okay, that's the way prana tends to move. And the apana vaya is also a downward energy, but it's kind of like the lower half of your body. Think elimination, grounding, the forces that kind of drop us from navel down to pelvic floor, downward energy. So depending on what you're needing to do and wanting to do, you can work with these two upward downward forces, or these are both downward forces. There's other values that move upward, but one of the things that you can do if you're feeling overstimulated, so our prana vayu, when it comes down, it's supposed to come down. It's supposed to be like dropping down right into the middle of our body. But because of our overstimulated world that we live in, we tend to, this is where our prana tends to kind of like hang out right in our brain. We're thinking. So our prana tends to not want to settle itself downward very well. And then our apana vayu is that kind of sluggish force that can really weigh us down. So sometimes we can do a pranayamic technique, and we're going to do this today, where we can encourage the prana to go down and encourage the apana to go up, so that we kind of meet and balance and harmonize instead of a sluggish down and an overwhelming up. Okay. So that how you would do that is, focusing on the inhale, moving from the top to the bottom. So it wouldn't be that bottom top belly breathing. It would be, bringing that apana vayu down, focusing your breath from your nose, your sinuses, your trachea, all the way down. And at the same time, having those compressive exhales where you're using your abdominal muscles to exhale to encourage that apana vayu to not drop too much. Okay. And this is just one little technique. Like there are so many. And so what I always like to think about with pranayama is that the first most important thing you can do is just get your breathing to be healthy. If you have all sorts of weirdness of constriction patterns, tightness in your belly or your diaphragm, or your pelvic floor is frozen, or your nose is all congested all the time, or you have something that's just trapping you up, and you don't have just a nice, good, healthy breathing pattern, that is by far the most important thing you can focus on in your pranayama without layering all these extra things on top. If you start trying to manipulate the breath when you don't even have a good, healthy breathing pattern, you just create more chaos in your body. So if you feel that any of this you struggle with any of this, always just return to some just beautiful, spacious inhales and exhales, trying to mobilize your diaphragm and mobilize your rib cage and feel that rhythmic nature of airflow with the pressure gradients. So always come back to that. If you get short of breath, if you get confused, if you get like, I'm feeling tight and tense and no fun, this is no fun, or your nervous system starts getting jaggedy. If any of those things happen in your pranayama practices, always return to just finding yourself, understanding your breath. Okay. All right, so I know that's a lot, and it's only like this much of what I could or would or want to say about pranayama, but it's just something food for thought. Okay. All right. So let's start with a comfortable seat, and once again, make sure you have your ball so that we can mobilize our rib cage a little bit. Okay, so as you find a comfortable seat to be in, take a moment to just drop your awareness, your attention into the grounded force of your body. So first, just feel yourself. Where are you in space? Are you making contact with your sit bones? Do you feel like you have good seat? And then maybe start with some of this chest breathing, where if you breathe through our chest first, notice that you probably rose up. that your body probably just did a little bit of a attention, like there's just this sense of aliveness, of posture setting, of heart opening that happens when we breathe our chest open. But don't forget to follow that with your diaphragm moving. Okay, and generally we're breathing, just our whole body's breathing. So, but we can focus on one area or another. Imagine that your breath is not water, but is air, which it is. Right, so just notice those pressure gradients. Can you feel the lungs coming into more pressure as you inhale? Can you feel your lungs releasing some of that pressure on your exhales? Always remembering to have a global view a bit. Periodically notice the rest of you, not just your breath, so you can sense, are you tensing anywhere? Is your face able to relax? Are your shoulders soft? Are your hands at ease? Is your belly soft and able to receive and move? Is your pelvis nice and stable? Do you have good posture? So pay attention as you go to how your body's responding. We'll put a little emphasis on breathing through the belly first. Remember, we don't have any breath happening in our belly, but we're diaphragmatically breathing first. So notice your diaphragm dropping down wide, and then fill up your chest, opening the ribs. Just focusing on the inhales for now. We'll get to the exhales in a moment. But spend a few rounds of breath with this diaphragmatic pattern where we're noticing the diaphragm and giving way, make space. Let your belly soften so your diaphragm has lots of room for that inhale, and follow, just split second following. We're not like having one big segment and then another big segment, but we're cascading, starting from the diaphragm and then noticing the rib expansion. Can you sense the grounding nature of the quality of this rhythm of breath? So these are just two extra little things to stick in your toolbox, that when you feel like you need a little posture lift or a little bit of chest opening, start the inhale with the ribs. And if you're having a moment where you really feel like either your reverse breathing patterning is acting up, or you feel like you need a sense of grounding, then focus on that diaphragm moving first. Both the ribs and the diaphragm will be moving. It's not like we're choosing one or the other. We're just kind of cascading which one gets to be the leader of the dance. Remember, every inhale, our sympathetic nervous system has a slight rise. And every exhale, our parasympathetic system has a slight rise. Oh, let's see if we can turn our attention toward our exhale. So maybe choose right now whether you are feeling a need for the chest and then belly, or the belly then chest for your inhale. Just choose one of those two patterns, or none of the patterns. Just let it be. Okay, so decide your inhale. And then on the exhale, first we'll just notice a passive exhale. Just pay attention to how your body wants to exhale. You don't have to have any real strong abdominal contractions. Notice the direction of your diaphragm. Your diaphragm should, on your inhales, drop down and wide on the inhale, and then your diaphragm should draw in and up on your exhale. This is the healthy way to move your diaphragm with breath. So notice if that's happening. Maybe you have a reverse pattern going where you're sensing that your diaphragm is drawing up on the inhale and down on the exhale. So see if you can get that natural rhythm going. Maybe that's all you need to focus on today, is just that. But if you are now ready for a little more progressive, active exhale, okay, we can think about taking a chest or belly first breath, your choice. And on the exhale, slight abdominal engagement, hugging towards spine, moving the diaphragm up. So your transverse abdominis, remember, it wraps around your whole torso from the back to the front. So this is the muscle that we want to compress toward our spine when we're doing that active exhale. So as not to do a whole lot of confusing, I'm not going to layer on the pelvic floor. If you're feeling really comfortable and you want to sense the pelvic floor in that engagement as well, great. But don't worry, there's a lot of, there's just a lot to focus on. So with this active exhale, just notice that transverse abdominis kind of shrink wrapping toward your spine. This should not feel like you are rock hard, that you are gripped and you suddenly have to release a lot to get that next inhale in. So notice if you're overzealous. See if you can just come into a steadiness of contractility on that exhale. If you have trouble releasing that, if you get to the end of the exhale and you're ready for an inhale and all of a sudden you feel like you just popped a balloon, or you're like there's a I don't know what to describe it, like a hiccup kind of feeling, or an extreme transition. This is something for you to know about yourself, that you could do a little work with that mobility of your diaphragm, learning to quickly and easily move from contraction to expansion. All right, I just threw so much information at you. So now let's just enjoy your breath. Okay, so take away any of those subtle little pranayamic things and just see if you can enjoy your breathing. Sometimes when you're learning pranayama, you can get very bound up in it, just like anything. You try a new anything, right? Any skill that you're building, it's going to be difficult at first, and it's going to be confusing, and it's going to be challenging and not automatic. But it eventually will be if you practice these things consistently. All right, bring your hands together at your heart. Enjoy your breath, the full inhale, the full exhale, noticing how prana moves through your body. And offer an intention. It could be simply just gratitude for your breath and all that it provides. It's our life-giving force. So let's have some deep appreciation and to offer anything else you would like to set for your intention. All right, release your hands and let's find our way onto our back. So as you stretch out and lengthen, our practice is gonna be a little different today. We're not gonna do anything super strenuous, but we definitely will warm up so that we feel free in our body. Okay, so come down onto your back. Stretch your arms overhead and enjoy all the space that you have. Reaching the right side and reaching the left side and just enjoying what it feels like to open up those ribs. You know, our ribs, they're just so special. So let's enjoy them. And then draw your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. All right, hang on to your knees and let's circle. Kind of rolling a little bit, checking in with your back. How was it sitting for all that long time? We don't usually sit that long. So notice if there's any response in your body to that. All right, and then a third movement pattern, draw your knees away from the middle and bring them back in toward the middle and just enjoy that range of motion. All right, right knee into your chest, left leg comes long on the ground and move about in your ankles, wiggling through your toes and give a little bit of rolling through those bones. Enjoy. Notice your head. Are you tense? See if you can rest your head and shoulders. All right, let's take the right knee, cross it over to the left and stretch open through your chest. Take it as deep as you'd like. Feel free to move around in your arm if you'd like. Find a big breath. Coming back to center, knee into your chest, and then release. Let's switch sides. Left knee into your chest. Give your knee a little bit of a hug. Feel free to keep moving around in your feet. Such a nice thing. Remember, we're not just, doing all this blessed movement for good mobility and balance, but we're also, the movement of our feet is a great way to stimulate lymph movement in our body. So picking many flowers with one hand when we move around in our feet. Okay, cross the left knee over to the right. Find a twist here. You can put a block underneath your shin if you want. You can just have it hang in the air, however you want to be. Open up across your chest and enjoy. Big breathing here. And then come back to center. Stretch to a star, reaching your limbs. Let's roll your wrists now too. Maybe a pumping of your fists, open and close your fists. Just getting some awakeness through your hands. And then draw your knees into your chest. Let's repeat that. Again, expanding open. Exhale, drawing in. Come rolling to your side and come up to your hands and your knees. All right, so find all fours and let's start moving through our spine, arching and rounding and taking your time to move through your vertebrae. Remembering your ribs attach to so many of your vertebrae. We may not always be aware of how much our posture influences our breath and how much our breath influences our posture, but our vertebrae are very interconnected to what we're doing with our lungs, our ribs, and our breath. And then move around any way you want. You can wag your tail, move your shoulders around, move your head around. All right, and then find just a neutral spine for a moment. Let's do some of those rib cage rolls. So we push out to one side, down toward the ground, out to the other, and up. And just notice, try to get your shoulder blades to move, maybe your head to move. Your ribs are for sure moving. Notice your breath. Go the other direction. Feel that you're gliding around in your shoulder blades and your ribs, your pelvis, your head will follow. Try not to think too much. All right, and then drop back towards child's pose. Stretch your arms far out in front of you and lengthen. Feel the tail drop Open up the spine and breathe into your low back and sacrum. So obviously your breath is not going down to our sacrum, but the movement of your diaphragm will absolutely impact what's happening in your low back. Let's try to remember how interconnected all of this is. Our quadratus lumborum, our transverse abdominis, the muscles along our spine, the muscles that open up our rib cage, all of this is interrelated. Walk the hands to one side or the other and feel that stretch of the pleural cavity, of your ribs, of all the intercostal muscles. Breathe deeply. And we're so finely designed, and there's, because everything is so smushed in close to each other, everything impacts everything else. Right? So when we have poor breathing, it impacts everything, and not just because of lack of oxygenation. It's not just about the cellular exchange. It's also about the mobility of what's happening in our lungs and ribs. The movement of our diaphragm affects our heart. I mean, there's just so much that's interconnected. So let's enjoy that. Come back up onto all fours. Swivel about in your spine. Okay. And let's find a twist. Reaching the arm up. Exhale, slide that shoulder down. Twisting to the side, letting your head stay at ease. Breathing deeply. And then inhale, that arm goes all the way back up. Hand down onto the ground. Let's switch sides. Arm lifting high. Exhale, slide the arm under. Feeling that twist in the body. Enjoy this. Breathing deeply. Inhale, arm back up in the air. Hand comes down, find a dog pose. As you stretch up into this posture, feel free to pedal your feet. Welcome in. We're not going to do a lot of our traditional poses today, so take an opportunity to feel your legs here, opening up your hamstrings, dropping one heel down, bending the other knee, feeling that fullness of your body, feeling the rootedness and groundedness of the inversion. All right, and then walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana, forward fold. Again, opening up this back line of the body. Inhale for a halfway lift. Open up through your spine. Femur bones moving back. Exhale. And relax again. Push through your feet, rising up. Bringing the arms to the sky, feeling that extension. Let's cactus open the arms. Exhale, rounding in. Big breath in and up. Exhale, floating forward. A halfway lift, extending the spine. Exhale and relax down. Step your left foot back, lunging. Feeling that movement of your legs. Let's open up a little bit. You can lift your toes if you want and tuck your chin. You can bend your knee and lift your heart. So just find that movement of bending and straightening the front knee. Big breaths here. All right, ground your legs. Push down, rise up, crescent lunge. Arms coming up to the sky. Big breath. Twist to the right. Inhale, come on up, turn sideways, take your knees wide apart, come down to a deep squat. Elbows inside your knees, just opening up the legs. Finding breath. Inhale, rising all the way up. Find that standing star. Exhale, enjoy those vayus, the downward vayus. Inhale up. And let's turn back to the front of our mat for dog pose. Extending through your spine here. Enjoy your legs. Come forward into a plank when you're ready. Feel your abdominal muscles hug your spine. See if you can sense that wrapping of your transverse abdominis around your belly. Big breath in, and as you exhale, compress. Knees to the ground. Roll your shoulders a moment. Inhale, cobra. A nice open front body. Exhale, back down. One more time. Exhale, back down. Up onto your hands and your knees. Move about in your spine. Maybe wag your tail. Let's go ahead and bring our left foot in front to a lunge. All right, lift your back knee up off the ground. And start to bend and straighten through your front foot. Breathing as you move. Slow your breath down. Feel your body. Root your feet. Inhale, rising up, crescent lunge. Feel that extension in your body. Press through your legs. And we'll twist open to the left. Big breaths. And then release back to neutral. One more time, a dog pose. Feel your body. And then come down onto your knees. All right, so hopefully we've kind of opened yourself up a little bit here so that you feel, in your body, alive. All right, we're gonna grab your smushy ball, okay? And we're gonna actually start with this underneath our chest. Okay, so instead of doing our side first, we'll do our chest first. We're gonna put this right at our sternum, kind of like at the bottom half of your sternum. Okay, it may be uncomfortable. Deflate the ball more if your breasts don't like it, or you just can't breathe right, or whatever is needed. And then adjust it so that you're in a happy place. Hands underneath your forehead. You can do this against a wall standing too if this position bothers your back or you're just not comfortable. All right, so first just notice that counter pressure on your sternum and your ribs. If it's at all uncomfortable, like maybe you have some acid reflux problems, or it's just a little too much on your stomach or whatever, then move the bolster up, the ball up higher, and just see. You can always abandon chip if it's not good for you. All right. Now, just slide the ball down into your guts a little bit. And you can prop up on your forearms if being low is too much on your diaphragm, or you can have your hands under your head with your body a little bit lower. And just notice, and you can move a little bit left and right. You can start kind of rolling on the ribs. Notice your diaphragm. Sometimes it's good to have a little resistance against the diaphragm, so your diaphragm has something to push up against. We're gonna relax that, come on to all fours. Ah, and just let there be lots of space. And now we'll do the more traditional version that we often do. We're gonna take the ball that's, half full. Everybody gets to decide how full they want their ball to be. I would say mine's a little bit more than half full. You just kind of have to find what's right for you. You can support underneath your head with a block or a blanket so that you have some support, and so your shoulder is comfortable underneath here. We're going to start with the ball underneath our, we're going to do 3 positions. Top half of rib cage, bottom half of rib cage, and then in our side waist, okay? Hand can be on the ground to support you as you start to just roll. And we want to, feel like we're massaging those ribs. Again, really great for our lymph. There's a lot of lymph in here that we're getting to mobilize. And after a few passes, we'll just have maybe 3 breaths or so. You can put your hand on your side. Sometimes I do this with my hand in the air. Sometimes I do it with my hand in front of me. I've even done it with my hand on my head. So just kind of experiment with where you want to be and take 3 big, beautiful inhales and exhales. Feel your rib cage move. So on the inhale, we press into the ball. And on the exhale, let the ball press into us. All right, we're not going to do the hold that we sometimes do. Move the ball down to the second half of your rib cage. Adjust your legs, whatever movement you need or position you need. Again, your hand can be on your hip, your hand can be on your side waist, your hand can be on your rib cage, up in the air, head, wherever you want it to be. Sometimes I like to keep it on my ribs so I feel that hooping, that we're connected left and right. Okay, so on the inhale, we move into the ball and expand up toward the sky and in all directions. And as we exhale, we let the ball move into us. Move around a little bit if you haven't done that yet, kind of rocking forward and back. This position of, the ball in our lower half of our ribs, this is a great place for you to practice this if you're a reverse breather, because it will really help you learn the mobilization of your diaphragm. So depending on what gets tight in you, does your rib cage freeze? Then focus on that upper spot. Does your diaphragm freeze? Then focus on that lower spot. Notice what tends to get restricted in you. The last position we'll do is right in the waist, okay, the side waist. So you can always adjust the fullness of the ball, okay? And this is to kind of just wake up that transverse abdominis, your obliques, your quadratus lumborum, your psoas, your organs. All of these contribute to our healthy breathing. We're not going to focus. I promise someday soon we'll do a pelvic floor class. I feel like it's been a while since we've done a pelvic floor class. But we're not going to focus on the pelvic floor today, but remember, the pelvic floor also is a big aspect of our breathing. Okay, now let's pause here and be still and just take 3 deep breaths. If you feel like you need to lean a little forward or lean a little backward, whatever stimulation you're looking for in those deep structures in your side. And once you've done 3, sit up for just a moment, sit on your heels or however you want. And just notice, close your eyes and notice if the 2 sides of your body feel different. And then we'll switch to the other side. So this is a good time to notice, the ball was a little too full, it was a little too empty. I'm feeling a little discomfort in what I just did. You might need some adjustment. Okay. All right, so start with the ball high, close to your armpit, top half of your rib cage. Block under your head if you want it. And let's start with just a little bit of movement, rolling backward and forward. And finding your breath. And then we'll pause in that spot and we'll take our hand wherever we want it to be. You put that right arm wherever feels comfy. Big breath in. Long breath out. We breathe into the ball. We let the exhale, the ball breathes into us. Focusing on the full rib cage moving, not just the spot where the ball is. And then after you've done 3 good breaths, we'll move the ball down, second half of the ribs. Now, I really encourage you, I feel like I'm rushing. I'm always feel like I'm rushing teaching because there's always so much I want to do, but remember, you can do this whenever you want. Okay, so it doesn't have to be like, oh, Jenny's teaching this for the first time in 3 months. You can do this anytime you want. So a little bit of rolling on this ball. So if you feel like it encourages a lot of release in the intercostals or just in there's a lot of soft tissue that's involved in your breathing. So having this practice can be very good for just mobilizing your tissues. All right, let's go ahead and be stationary now. You can put your hand wherever feels comfy. 3 big breaths. Notice your diaphragm, not just your ribs. Once you've taken 3 good solid breaths, we'll move that ball down to your side waist. Now remember, we're no longer in our rib cage, so a little bit of movement. There's so much that's happening in this area of our body besides just our intestines, our organs. We want to sense in to the deep low back muscles, the quadratus lumborum, the obliques, the transverse abdominis, the psoas, even the iliacus. I know you guys have heard me say these words. Hopefully they have meaning to you. All right, so just see, and even if you don't know any of your muscles, and that's okay, you can feel them. So just feel what you're feeling. And then we'll pause here and take 3 good breaths. We breathe into the ball, we exhale, the ball breathes into us. Take that ball out of there, lie down on your back. Put the ball under your sacrum for a moment. You could always put a block there instead. And just let your body open up. Off of the ball. Let's just windshield wiper our knees left and right, turn your head in opposition. Maybe a starfish. Maybe a knees to chest. And then we're gonna find a comfortable seat. You can sit on a chair. You can stand up and do this. You can sit, I'm in Virasana on a block. Whatever position is comfortable for you, there's no right way, just be upright, okay? So just don't do this lying down. Standing or sitting, but make sure you have found a good, comfortable position for yourself. Now let's just notice our breathing. You just stimulated a lot of your lung tissue, your muscles, that pleural cavity. I mean, you stimulated a lot, so just notice your sensations. And then we're gonna do this just simple pranayamic technique to keep our prana vayu going down, and our apana vayu, we're gonna help reverse its flow to go up. And we're gonna meet those two energetics at our center body. Some of this is visual, like just visualization in your mind, okay? We're gonna start, I'll describe, we're gonna do a specific inhale and a specific exhale. The inhale, you're gonna focus nose to sinuses, to trachea, to bronchi, bronchioles, and fill up your lungs from that top, bottom, okay? So chest diaphragmatic breathing. And then on our exhale, we're going to do that compressive exhale, that active exhale of using our abdominal organs. You might feel your pelvic floor as well. Kind of give a support to the spine and support that upward movement of the vayu that normally wants to go down. We're going to gently draw things up. Okay? So nothing is forced. As always with pranayama, nothing is forced. Just start with a natural, normal breath, both in and out. Inhale, notice your nose, start from the top and go down. On the exhale, progressive strengthening of your core, active exhale. On that inhale, even though we're starting at the top, don't restrict your diaphragm from moving. Feel your diaphragm move along with the rest of your lung or rib cage. Notice if you're overzealous. Notice if you're tightening too much on that exhale. Notice if there's fluidity between the exchange of inhale, exhale, exhale, inhale. Everything should feel fairly gentle. We're not trying to, give 20 out of 10 effort. If you feel short of breath, you're doing too much. Don't forget to visualize these vayus. So, flow your prana, your life force energy on that inhale. Take it in from above and bring it down into your body. Let your mind rest in that. On the exhales, feel that apana vayu lift up instead of its natural tendency to drop down. So feeling that upward motion. It doesn't have to be a Uddiyana Bandha. We're not flying up with our diaphragm, but we're compressing in and letting the diaphragm move back up. So kind of resisting the slump down. Return to a normal breath. And when you're ready, open your eyes and let's come off of your seat and come down onto your back. Stretch your body out. If there's any pose that you want to do to nourish your body, if you need anything at all, do it. And then we'll spend the last couple of minutes in Shavasana. All right, so remember, Shavasana does not have to be tight-limbed. You can spread your arms and legs if you want. You don't have to be, really close in to the center line. Just see what feels good today. And let your body enjoy your breath. And feel ready. Start to move a little bit here and there. A big breath. You can come onto your side and use your arms to slowly take your time. Do not rush. Find your way up to a comfortable seat, nice and slow. As you come up, once you get to, no rush, once you get to a seat, just breathe and notice your breath. There's nothing to manipulate or change. Try not to think too much. Just let your body do its thing. May the replenishment of the breath be yours. It's just such a gift to receive the breath. Hands together. And let's offer the gift of our breathing practice, whatever merits we've gained. Let's share our energy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.